Boy,
Absolutely.
was Take That your band?
No, I'm too old for Take That. I was a Durrani.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I was a Duran girl, I'm afraid. But Take That, I went and saw them in concert.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I like the story, I like the vibe, I like Gary Barlow, I like the whole mess that is Robbie Williams. You know, it's just they're nice, cool role models.
Williams or Barlow, though, which you got to be in one camp.
Barlow.
Oh,
I know,
no,
he's so skilled.
He may have a big West End thing coming up soon as well.
Oh, amazing.
In the next year or two, we'll see. Welcome back. We're on live we're on 5 on Live. We're live on 5. Kevin and Joanna, we'll be asking later on if it's okay to claim benefits without actually looking for work. I thought that was part of the deal, but we'll ask that question later on. First, though, I have a feeling that you're not going to be on Harry's side, but do you feel sorry for the man, okay? This is Harry, whatever his name is now. He didn't even know in court how he was to be addressed. It's Prince Harry. 0207 862 2222 is the number you need. Yesterday, Harry's day in court came to a dramatic end as the emotional prince gave evidence in his battle against Associated Newspapers Limited, which is the publisher of the Daily Mail and the Mail on Sunday. The Duke of Sussex said the press continue to come after me. They've made my wife's life an absolute misery. He went on to say that the intrusion in his life left him paranoid as he suspected those closest to him of leaking information to reporters. Harry's attacks on the press go right back to the harassment of his mother Diana, including an article from 2006 about his and Prince William's reactions to the publication of a photo of Princess Diana after the fatal car crash, and that was published by the Italian media. I think it's very hard not to feel sorry for Prince Harry. I have a feeling I may be alone. I don't know. We'll see what the callers say. Why don't we start with you, Joanna? Harry.
I'm afraid he has blotted his copybook as far as I'm concerned. No parent ever wants to see their child publicly criticise and humiliate them, which is what this man has done to his father, to his brother, to, in effect, the whole of the royal family. And I have a real problem with that. And yet, on the other hand, when it comes to him and his wife, and he talks about his previous girlfriend, Chelsea, you know, this is a big issue about what they've done to him. So it's all about him, but he's forgetting what he's done to his own family himself. And I struggle with this bizarre balance he seems to have in his mind.
All right.
When it's me, I'm a victim. When it's them, they were the perpetrators.
Kevin?
He's very troubled, isn't he? I mean, you could just write him off as a spoilt rich brat, which there is a side of that, and he's made mega mistakes. He did. He pulled the pin out of the hand grenade throughout his family. He was accusing them of being racists. He said his brother physically attacked him. I mean, it's pretty grim stuff. But at the same time, because he is troubled, I do feel sorry for him. And this current court case, I think he's got to let go. Yeah. Instead of living the past time after time.
If we characterise the way a member of the royal family, especially him, perhaps he's even a special case because of the way he was living his life and everything, the attention on him, fame is as corrosive a thing as anything I've ever seen in my life. Fame destroys people. He's had to grow up, not just with fame, but from such an early age, just people on his phone, private information, whatever he says as he tries to grow up in this goldfish bowl, making good judgments.
As the spare, as he called his book, knowing he's not the heir.
I mean, just awful. And people who've not been famous or had attention, perhaps it's hard to understand or imagine.
I go back to 1997 when his mother Diana died in that car crash, and the picture of him walking behind the cortege with his brother and his father and his grandfather, the then Duke of Edinburgh. And I thought it was cruel of the family, the institution, the British state to do that to him. And how's that not going to have...
Prince Harry's latest court appearance has once again reignited one of the biggest debates surrounding the Duke of Sussex. Is he simply refusing to let go of the past, or is he trying to hold powerful institutions accountable for conduct that affected not only his own life, but the lives of many others? The discussion quickly became emotional, with commentators and callers offering very different perspectives. Some argued that Harry has damaged his relationship with the royal family through public interviews and his memoir. Others believed his experiences growing up under relentless media attention deserve far greater understanding. Perhaps the most striking part of the conversation was that even several of Harry's critics admitted something important. They feel sorry for him, not necessarily because they agree with every decision he has made, but because they recognize that very few people on Earth have lived the kind of life Harry has lived. From the moment he was born, Harry's life was never truly his own. Every milestone became public. Every friendship attracted attention. Every mistake became front-page news. Every relationship generated headlines before it even had a chance to develop naturally. Most people experience childhood with privacy. Harry experienced childhood with cameras. That distinction changes everything. One panelist made a particularly thoughtful observation about fame itself. He described fame as something deeply corrosive. Not simply glamorous, but something capable of affecting judgment, relationships, and trust. That is a point worth considering. Imagine growing up knowing that almost every conversation could appear in a newspaper. Imagine wondering whether someone genuinely wants to be your friend or simply has access to a headline. Imagine trying to build relationships while photographers wait outside your school, your home, or your holidays. That was Harry's reality. Long before Netflix, long before California, long before Meghan entered his life. The discussion naturally returned to one of the defining moments of Harry's childhood: the death of Princess Diana. It is impossible to understand Harry's relationship with the media without understanding the impact of losing his mother at just 12 years old. One presenter recalled the image of Harry walking behind Diana's coffin in front of millions of people around the world. For many, it remains one of the most unforgettable photographs in modern British history. That image became symbolic of unimaginable grief experienced under extraordinary public scrutiny. Whether people believe it was appropriate or not, very few would argue that any child should have to mourn so publicly. Harry has often spoken about how that experience shaped him. He has also spoken about his belief that intrusive media behavior played a role in the circumstances surrounding his mother's death. People may debate the details surrounding that tragedy, but what cannot be debated is how profoundly it affected Harry personally. Trauma does not disappear simply because years have passed. It often shapes how people respond to future events. That context helps explain why Harry has consistently challenged media organizations through the courts. His legal battles are frequently portrayed as attempts to silence criticism. But Harry has repeatedly argued that his objective is accountability. He has spoken about unlawful information gathering, invasion of privacy, and unethical journalistic practices. These are issues that extend far beyond one individual. Court cases involving media standards can establish important legal precedents that affect journalists, public figures, and ordinary citizens alike. Another topic raised during the debate was Harry's memoir, Spare. Critics argued that someone seeking privacy should not publish such a personal account of their life. It is a criticism that many people have made. However, supporters often respond differently. They argue there is an important distinction between choosing to tell your own story and having others tell it for you. For decades, countless books, newspaper articles, and television programs discussed Harry's life without his participation. Spare represented the first time he was able to explain events from his own perspective. Readers may agree or disagree with his conclusions, but telling one's own story is fundamentally different from having it told by strangers. The conversation also highlighted another challenge Harry has described over the years: trust. Harry has explained that constant media leaks made him increasingly suspicious about where private information was coming from. If deeply personal conversations repeatedly appear in newspapers, it inevitably raises difficult questions. Who shared the information? Who can be trusted? Who is speaking privately and who may be speaking publicly? Most people never have to live with those uncertainties. For Harry, they became part of everyday life. One caller argued that Harry cannot simultaneously seek privacy while continuing to appear in documentaries, interviews, and legal proceedings. It is an argument many people understand. At the same time, another perspective deserves consideration. Privacy does not necessarily mean disappearing completely from public life. It means having control over what parts of your life remain personal and what parts you choose to share. That distinction is important. Actors value privacy while making films. Authors value privacy while publishing books. Public figures often choose when to speak without surrendering every aspect of their personal lives. Harry appears to be seeking something similar. The presenter raised another fascinating question. What happens to someone who has never experienced an ordinary childhood? Most of us learned about relationships, friendships, and independence away from public attention. Harry learned those lessons while newspapers documented nearly every stage of his life. His first relationships became headlines. His mistakes became entertainment. His grief became global news. Very few people have experienced that level of exposure. That doesn't excuse poor decisions, but it may help explain them. Another interesting point emerged during the discussion when a caller questioned Harry's ultimate goal. Even if he wins legal victories against media organizations, will intense public interest simply continue? It is a fair question. Harry himself has often suggested that these legal actions are about creating accountability rather than eliminating media coverage altogether. He has argued that certain practices crossed ethical and legal boundaries. If successful, those cases could influence how information is gathered in the future. That would extend beyond his own situation. Perhaps the most balanced contribution came from a caller who expressed sympathy from a different angle. He suggested that Harry's difficulties reflect broader tensions between personal relationships, public responsibilities, and institutional traditions. Whether people agree with that assessment or not, it highlights an important reality. Family disagreements become infinitely more complicated when they unfold before a global audience. Every conversation becomes speculation. Every meeting becomes a headline. Every disagreement becomes international news. Very few families could navigate those circumstances perfectly. Harry's relationship with his father, King Charles, continues attracting enormous public attention. So does his relationship with Prince William. Yet behind the headlines are still human relationships affected by years of personal history, grief, expectation, and public pressure. That complexity often disappears in television debates, where issues are reduced to winners and losers. Real life is rarely that simple. One presenter wondered whether Harry's legal action might ultimately help protect others facing similar media intrusion. It is an interesting point. Throughout history, legal challenges brought by public figures have sometimes resulted in broader changes benefiting society as a whole. Whether Harry's cases eventually produce similar outcomes remains to be seen. But the principle of testing legal boundaries through the courts is an important part of democratic systems. Perhaps the biggest takeaway from the discussion was this. Even among people who disagree strongly with Harry's choices, many still acknowledge that his upbringing was extraordinarily difficult. That recognition creates space for a more thoughtful conversation. People can question some of Harry's decisions while still understanding the circumstances that shaped them. They can disagree with aspects of his memoir while recognizing the trauma he experienced. They can debate his legal strategy while accepting that media intrusion had profound consequences throughout his life. These conversations do not require absolute agreement. They require nuance. Prince Harry's story has never been a simple one. It is the story of a man born into extraordinary privilege, but also extraordinary scrutiny. A man who experienced unimaginable personal loss at a young age. A soldier who served his country. A husband determined to protect his family. A father seeking a different upbringing for his children than the one he experienced himself. Whether people ultimately support every choice Harry has made is a matter of personal opinion. But understanding the context behind those choices allows for a more balanced conversation. As his legal battles continue, public opinion will likely remain divided. Yet one thing seems increasingly clear. The discussion is no longer simply about Prince Harry. It is about privacy, accountability, media ethics, and the lasting impact of growing up under a spotlight few people could ever imagine. Those questions extend far beyond one individual, and they are likely to remain part of the conversation for many years to come.